Hello and welcome to another anime lore and theory video. I'm Shergok, your host, and today we are going to take a closer look at what would happen if Lupusregina Beta had accompanied Ainz Ooal instead of Naber Gamma when he was disguised as Momon. But before we're going to take a closer look at any of this, let me quickly thank my Patreons for supporting this channel and say my thanks to all users of the YouTube thanks function for making one-time donations. And with that said, let's start. Lupusregina Beta is slightly less sadistic than Naber Gamma, but unlike Nabe, she can fantastically conceal her maliciousness. This ability would lead to various changes in the story of Overlord if Lupusregina Beta had accompanied Ainz Ooal during his time as Momon instead of Naber. Firstly, the village of Karn would have been confronted by a different Pleiades as its protector, and Naber Gamma would likely be noticeably more unpleasant than Lupusregina, who is with Ainz in this timeline. This could lead to more strained relations with the village of Karn, or perhaps require Naber Gamma to justify her behavior before Ainz Ooal, like Lupusregina had to do in the canon timeline. However, it might not necessarily be Naber Gamma taking care of Karn, as for example Yuri Alpha would also likely be accepted by Karn's population, especially since she is good with children and would likely impart some knowledge onto them. And if the hard-working and meticulous Yuri Alpha were stationed in Karn, Ainz would have learned about the dangers in the Forest of Top much earlier, leading to the events of Volume 8 happening way sooner. And perhaps the potion created by inferior Baliar might also look different under these different circumstances, depending on how much Lupusregina's advice to Henry influenced the potion's capabilities that inferior needed for certain activities. And now, after addressing Karn, we proceed chronologically with the first interaction between Lupusregina and Ainz in Iwantel. While Ainz would still be disappointed by Lupusregina's opinion of humans, he would also be relieved that Lupusregina Beta could actually conceal her very own aversion behind her sugar-coated facade. However, as Naber Gamma was chosen as Ainz's companion due to her humanoid appearance, occasional clashes between the human population and Lupusregina might occur because she looks slightly less humanoid. And I believe the first of these clashes would happen in the tavern. Here Momon wouldn't be the target of the iron-ranked adventurers. Instead, Lupusregina might be targeted as people would question her ears. Yet, Ainz would likely have thought about this possibility and might have said something like, "It's a curse," hence why Lupusregina's working as an adventurer to one day regain her normal appearance by finding some sort of cure or counter-curse. But still, even with all of this said, in this scenario, an NPC of Nazarick would be attacked directly. The iron-ranked adventurer would also be sent flying like in the canon story timeline, but likely with way more force behind this sudden visit to Britta's table, leading Britta to complain way more carefully about her destroyed potion. And despite Britta complaining far more meekly, Ainz would still hand over the healing potion to preserve his adventurer's reputation. And the story with the healing potion would then lead Britta being sent from the tavern to Inferior and Lizzie Baliar to investigate the potion, since the tavern owner would be way more interested in this potion now that he knows a cure is sought. Furthermore, the contact with the source of darkness would also have been way friendlier, and it might have been the case that Lupusregina entertains the offer from Lukrut Wolf, only for him to be found frightened in his tent the next morning. This turn of events would certainly not have been beneficial for the relationship with the Swords of Darkness, but it could also have remained at friendly flirting. And then the first real deviation from the story would occur in the battle against Khajiit and Clementine. While Ainz gives Clementine her free hug, Lupusregina would be fighting against the two skeletal dragons. However, despite her lower level compared to Naber Gamma, Lupusregina Beta would fare better in combat. Khajiit would be forced into a defensive position very early on, simply because Lupusregina has much more HP, strength and defense against physical attacks compared to Naberal Gamma. Additionally, due to her proficiency with blunt weapons, thanks to her scepter, she would likely wield a mace or something like this instead of a sword, like Nabe did. In other words, after Ainz Ooal gives the command to showcase Nezaric's power, Khajiit would likely be on the verge of defeat or had already lost, which leads him to be wounded by Lupusregina, healed and wounded again. So in this scenario, Lupusregina would only release Khajiit from his suffering upon hearing the orders of Ainz Ooal. Of course, she would stick to the plan and use the Dagger of the Swords of Darkness to take revenge, like Naberal Gamma has. Lupusregina's appearance could also have caused problems in the royal palace of Rolente during the 5th and 6th volume of Overlord. However, as protocol became far less important during this demonic incursion, and Evil Eye was already tolerated in the palace in the first place, I personally believe that specific inquiries about Lupusregina's appearance would likely be avoided. Interestingly, Lupusregina would be the one injured in the mock battle between Momon and Yaldabaoth by the other Pleiades, since she is now the companion of Ainz Ooal, which runs contrary to the canonical story timeline, where she did some injuring to Naberal Gamma herself. Moving on to the 7th novel and the Empire of Bahrut, and the escort mission for Archer and her team would proceed without further incidents. However, Fluda Paradane would be far less impressed with Lupusregina compared to Naberal Gamma, as Nabe was the much better caster, while Lupusregina was physically stronger and more balanced in terms of stats. Nevertheless, in the face of Ainz, this would not really be a problem. And with that said, let's move on to one of the followers of Barbro, who approached Naberal Gamma and got slapped rather decisively. Lupusregina, in contrast to her, might actually pretend to accept the unsolicited offer that the noble made and enjoy him instead. This could lead to the man being severely traumatized or not surviving the ordeal. Consequently, Crown Prince Barbro might feel dishonored by Lupusregina simply because a common adventurer girl injured or killed a nobleman of the Crown Prince of Rhea's ties. However, Barbro would be too occupied with Karen Village to pursue the matter further, but ultimately his downfall would be much more pleasant, as either Naberal Gamma or Yuri Alpha or one of the other remaining Pleiades would have eliminated him instantly, instead of Lupusregina playing with him for 30 minutes. Unless of course he gets Solution Epsilon and eaten alive. Nevertheless, the impression of Ainz Ooal's adventurer team would be overall more positive than in the canonical story, and Lupusregina would be seen more as the co-protector of Irantel due to her friendly nature, since she would be held in very high esteem by the population. This would make her also more prominent in the confrontation between Ainz and Momon. And finally, the team of Momon would likely not be necessarily associated with the color black, but rather with black and red, given Lupusregina's fiery hair. So it could be that Skarma Elbero, who despised Momon for taking the black color she wanted to be known for, might not harbor such disdain, which surprisingly could have huge consequences later on in the story, since her story arc remains unresolved to this very day. And since she and the rest of her adventurers fled supposedly to the Arkland Council State, which is ruled by Platinum Dragonlord and the other Dragon Councillors. And that's about it. And I am relatively surprised at how little the story of Overlord would have changed if Lupusregina Beta had been there instead of Naberal Gamma, except that she would now be highly regarded as the protector of Irantel due to her outwardly friendly demeanor. But again, the overall trajectory of the story would have remained quite similar. And with that said, now it's your turn. Do you agree with what I have said about Lupusregina's position at the side of Ainz Ooal and how it would change the canon timeline, or do you have your own ideas what Lupusregina would have done instead? In any case, let me know it down in the comment section. And while you type, I say thank you very much for watching and special thanks to Stash, Ader Daddy Ader, ASK, Bad Guy Ye, Bad Burrito 316, Biza, Ben C, Brandon D, Chrissy, Crowley 0221, Sia, Crystal Prime, Dead Slime, Death is Mercy, Deathless Dragonlord, Demon Xenomorph 1987, Devin Downen, Ding Dong, Dragonlord Placido Saxophone, Duckwagon, Dunkler Krieger, Dystopia, Dystopia II, Enigmatic Unicorn, Feral Shivan, Guy with That Head, Hector Marino, Hoss, Huster, Jacob G, Jana B, Jason, J. Morris, Chromius, Kyle R, Lee K. Long, Legendarius, Lelouch Britannia with a Mustache, Lexus Fox, Lord Nishikian Rai, Lord Touch Me, Love Razor, Merovec, Mr. Shoes, Mr. Tweaker, Michael R, Michael Y, Nope, Oh Hell No, Normal Toad, Okill, Overlord General Gasper, Paddy Pantum, Personage, Primus 11, Rhinomere, Cune Caracos P, Shergox's Daddy, Shadow Lightning Wolf, Shrine Keeper, Sir Axolotl, Super Tier Magic Batista Bomb, Supreme Cheese, Staris, Ted, Texas Deer, The Orc Warboss, Rock Ed Smasher, T.E. Wang, Vash Hawkeye, Vegito27, Venture Fanatic, Wilhelm, Xenukai, and Zonagon. Thanks guys. Anyway, have a nice day, and I hope to see you all again soon on my next video.